Welcome back to Fire Force Anime Review, episode 135. This will be the 9th episode of Fire Force. Melee. I hate this freaking cold. Ugh. Anyways, this episode is called episode 39, 3 Melee, and the 246 chapter manga Destructive Spell. Newest episode of the anime adapts from chapters 136 to 139. Yep. A lot of odd stuff happens this episode. They do kind of do some, like these are some episodes, they take the panels and just basically flip them. Basically where they're mirror images, basically where they were in the manga. Thing starts off basically with seeing Lick overhearing info that, oh yes, the Najiko, the boy who's revealed to be a sixth pillar, is going crazy. Yes. His power is going haywire, so he's like, screw this. I'm basically taking Shiro out and get in the pillar and get out of this place. Hits the big red button to open the door. And then he pretty much decides to punch a scientist who's there. And he basically says different lines he says in the manga. In the manga, he says, I won't be undone by the type like you. And he's like, it'd be a shame if I get taken out by a fellow nerd. Which I found a lot better of a line for him to say than his line from the manga. Which I actually appreciate that change. Then Licht, and of course, Licht, when he reveals his development, they actually show him, because in the manga, it's like he has this little back communication device under his lapel, which in the show, they actually show him flipping up the lapel, the little collar of his shirt, to basically show it, which kudos for the anime throw that in there, because in the manga, just there. So it's like, apparently because of the development. So they also changed basically what the window is in the Matchbox. And basically we have Obi when he talks to Victor, Vulcan, who's driving the Matchbox. It's basically, there's no cage there this time, like there is in the manga. They actually removed it here for some reason. And of course they plow through the gate. Now they actually do change the wording, basically what they say here when the guard tells the scientist before Lick punches him. And he says, a matchbox is basically fluid. How in the world would they know it's a freaking matchbox? Because in the manga it says, and all they say was a vehicle just blow through the front gate. In the anime it said it was a matchbox. Okay? How will these guards know that is a matchbox? Yeah. It's quite questionable why they did that for. That's when, of course, everything goes haywire. Then, of course, Licht and Shiro go look for the sixth pillar, but the Reaper finds it first. Yep, and then of course they chase him outside, which is where the 8th Company basically, they're distracted first by, they actually are stopped by a puppet, which is controlled by a woman known as the Puppeteer. She doesn't have an action name, she's referred to as the Puppeteer. And here's something interesting though about this character. Now, you first saw her briefly in last week's episode, where she's basically with the same doll that she's attacking the Company 8 with. In case you're curious though, who does her English voice? It's Monica Real. Yep, for me, this is the 27th anime I've heard of it. Yes, 27. Yes, I do keep count of this stuff. And most stuff you see the anime for her, yeah, I have in the manga too. So, she basically battles Maki and Vulcan for a while. She comes up with a new name for Maki's, like, twin gauntlets, calls them caterpillars. It's like, oh yeah, I like that name. Vulcan's like, no, that's kind of dumb. Though, in the way that they kind of swap dialogue with him and the Puppeteer, which I thought that was kind of weird. They kind of swap dialogue. Yeah, where she's like, oh, treat people the same as robots. And he's like, robots. It kind of feels as though they kind of swap pieces of each other's dialogue for the scene. It's kind of weird. Yep. And then, of course, Maki eventually destroys one, and then, of course, we have it where, she jumps on the building, perfectly fine. Apparently, she can shoot flames out of her feet, which they don't really show that in the manga. She just automatically down on the ground, like, wait, what the heck just happened? And shows up, she's actually a 3rd generation, fire user. And she's about to unleash a bunch of, another one of the robots that she used against Maki. And then they're all immediately destroyed by Arrow. Yes, Arrow, the white clad soldiers are here. Yep, they're here. He's like, what the heck are they doing here? And of course we have Rescue Company meets up with Victor and with Licht and Shira. Now they kind of this is the scene where they actually swap around because in the manga, the way you look in the manga, it looks like they're facing to the left. In the anime, it's facing to the right. And they all change positioning basically where Shira ends up next to Obi. Because in the manga, he ends up on his left. In the anime, it's the right. Yeah, they do this sometimes basically make the thing flow more better. And of course, he comes outside, and that's when Inca shows up from the fire soldier. Well, she's doing the white clad soldiers during the fire pillar, the fifth pillar arc. So we see her in her attire, and she wears the same outfit that the second pillar wears. Yeah, the same exact outfit. She doesn't have a crown on her eyes. Of course, she asks Chrome basically what the heck he's doing there. He's like, well, she got annoyed by me, and she basically told me to go away. That's actually different. It's much more explanation basically what they get in the manga, which is barely anything on the reason why he's even there. And then we show off basically Inca's protector, who is a woman. Yes, a woman. Looked like she wears clothing. Looked like she's a cave woman, based on the way she dresses, because her outfit's stitched up. And of course, they're the ones to take on, well, the Reaper and Shira. And of course, the Reaper uses his little ash sword on Chrome, and it does nothing to him. Yeah, it just slices up his clothes. Like, why is my thing? Now, this portion, I look up in the manga, this actually is anime original, because at this point, the Reaper doesn't even fight him at all. It's just that this particular moment was adds to the anime, which I like. I thought it was quite interesting, though, the fact not everybody is basically can withstand basically his attacks. And, well, that's the episode. It's a fun episode, to say the least, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. What's continues this major brawl. I'm moving news chapter manga. Destructive spell. Originally, from the way it looks, the last chapter, it said this one's going to be called 200 Years of Obsession. They moved to the next chapter for some reason. Maybe that chapter was delayed. They probably tried to swap title for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Yep. So, chapter starts off with seeing Vulcan, Lisa, and his little kid basically was with him. So looking for the keyhole to Amaterasu. They walk around for a bit, and they keep looking around trying to find it. Modern technology. And then they come across the door where they find the keyhole. They open up, and then Giovanni shows up. Yep, he's here. And of course, Lisa uses her abilities on him. This is like working out so well. He's like, people protect the entrance. How'd you get inside? Who really knows how when a bug gets in? What can we do? We just have to handle nobody else. And oh yeah, his name is Erg. He is basically his chest. Just grateful that he saved him. Hey, thanks for hurting him. It's like, yes sir. Oh, you're expressing deepest gratitude. So, Akira Amaterasu. And focus that the key belongs to my family. Then surely you know what it is. Of course know what's inside. It's pie, isn't it? Levi's like, yep. Destructive spell 314. A spell of destruction which the evangelist has worked as iniquity. A spell? Yeah. And that's what basically pie is. Finish solving pie. You saw pie? And then we see the laughing moon. And then we see Giovanni's. Have you seen the flying moon that starts floating in the sky? The physics of this world have been altered. Last Constant didn't just usher in an age of spontaneous human combustion, it made pi solvable. And now with pi solved, we may fail to bring mankind's evolution to its terminus. He's like, what do you mean by that? There is a theory that the final stage of my creature's evolution is ruin, extinction, and the theory is quite correct. Humanity longs for the end, the terminus of extinction. Their goal has been becoming nothing more than the yearning for death. That and that yearning means the cataclysm is their ultimate aim. It's like bullcrap. You're just a death cult. You're like a cult, you say? I have you know, you little wrench. Our cult, as you call it, comes from the same place as all religions. Do you know who bestowed upon him? You saying you saw with the evangelist? Apparently, evangelist is behind everything. Of course, it is. The evangelists also planted the sun worship within their minds. She inclined them to a degree of annihilation, turns to flame, returns to the sun. The sun? What does the sun have to do with it? Why, for this is the second earth. The sun which hangs in the sky above you was long ago born through a cataclysm. And apparently, and even I had the same reaction to folks like, what? So apparently, according to Giovanni, the sun that's in this world used to be the original Earth? What? Oh my gosh, what? Wow, what a very odd cliffhanger. So apparently, they say this is Earth 2, and apparently Earth 1 was the sun. What? Oh my gosh, wow. What a very weird way to end the chapter. Oh my gosh, wow. I give this chapter a 10 out of 10. It's such a bizarre cliffhanger. That hopefully they'll ignore next chapter. Hopefully not. But yeah. That's it for this particular review. Not much else to say. It's just a interesting chapter. I'm glad the fact they progressed the plot of the series really well with this chapter. And of course the pie thing. That comes from the James Peninsula arc. And it's interesting though, only like aside from Giovanni, you just have Vulcan, Lisa, and you. That's it. Only 4 characters this whole chapter, which is like, damn. But still a pretty good chapter, nonetheless. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular view. Next view is going to be, is it wrong to have ghouls in a dungeon? Yes, I will be watching that next. And then doing my review. Okay? See you next video. Bye.